Hi third graders, welcome back. This week I'm going to be making our writing lesson again. So if you haven't watched Mrs. Sim's reading video already, I'm going to ask you to stop, go back and listen to Miss Sim read the story Save the Ocean. And then you can come back and that will help us write about it. It will be kind of difficult to write about a book you have not heard yet. So Miss Sim is going to read the story to you. She's going to read the first chapter of an informational text. Once you're finished with that, go ahead and come on back and we are going to write an informational paragraph about that text. We're going to get started with our learning target. We're going to review a little bit of what we talked about last week. And then this week, we're really going to focus on our drafting and how we're including those vivid words and those transition words. All right, graders, we're going to go ahead and start with our learning target for today. We're going to read it together, and I'm going to go ahead and circle those big important words that I've color-coded to help you think about. So if you can, I'd like you to go ahead and read along with me at home. I will plan, draft, edit, revise, and publish an informational paragraph with vivid words and transition words. So go ahead and stop and think for a second. What are the really important words in this learning target that really tell us what we're going to be focusing on today? So I can see right here we're going to plan. We know when we plan, we use our graphic organizer. So I'm going to draw little rectangles to remind me of how we made that graphic organizer to help us plan last week. We're going to draft. I'm going to write a 1 next to draft because a draft is just our very first try. Okay? Edit. When we edit, that means we go back and we fix things that might be wrong. We make sure words are spelled correctly. We have quotation marks where we need them. We have periods where we need them. Revise means that we're going to go maybe change anything that needs to be changed. So maybe if you want to add a word, you want to add a fact, maybe you want to make it a little bit more interesting, that's what you would do when you revise. And publish, that's when we make our very, very final copy. I'm going to do a double check here. That means that everything you want to include in there is ready for your reader to read. So we're going to publish. What are we going to publish? An informational paragraph. So an informational paragraph should give your reader some sort of information for them to learn. That should be a light bulb, like when you're learning, there's light bulbs. And the really big important thing we're going to focus on is that we're including vivid words this time, which are words that paint a picture, and we are including transition words. Transition words, they connect ideas, okay? So I'm going to have like a little thought bubble, an arrow, and another thought bubble to represent one idea being connected to another, okay? So our success criteria, here's what we need to do to be successful today. I created an informational paragraph, we already talked about what that was, that has 4 transition words, 4 vivid words, a topic sentence, 2 details, text evidence, and a conclusion. So this week we're bumping it up. Last week I think we had you doing 2 or 3 transition words. This time everybody should be shooting for 4 transition words and 4 vivid words. We're lifting that up a little bit because that is exactly what I'm going to teach you in this video, what we're really going to focus on. So that's what I want to see you including in your writing this week. As always, it's still super important to make sure we have our topic sentence, our 2 details, our 2 pieces of text evidence, and a conclusion. And just like last week, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, I encourage you to see if you can come up with 3 details, 3 pieces of text evidence, maybe even 4. Okay? So make sure the details you include are key details for the text. Save the Ocean that Miss Sim read already. I'm going to quickly go over what these topic sentence, details, text evidence, and the conclusion is because last week we kind of really went into that. So I'm just going to show you one more time. This is the poster we made together last week about what a topic sentence is, details, explain, detail, explain, and your conclusion. If you're still unsure about this, you can pause your video and read this, or even go back to last week's video and listen to it one more time to see if it will help you remember what each sentence in your informational paragraph should be. Okay? start by talking about vivid words. We have talked a lot about vivid words in my class this year. I'm sure Miss Mortensen and Mrs. Sim have as well. Vivid words are those words that help paint a picture in your reader's head. These are some examples of questions I like to ask myself when I'm thinking about vivid words. And another thing we sometimes call vivid words is we'll call them adjectives. So I'm going to write that here. I'm going to write adjectives. Those are describing words. When you include lots and lots of adjectives in your writing, it makes it much more interesting for your reader, and it helps it make it kind of real for them. So I always ask myself these questions. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it act like? Maybe if it was a person or an animal. What does it smell like? What does it taste like? So before this video, I sat and I was thinking about the ocean, and I was thinking about the text that we read together, and I came up with some vivid words on my own, and I'm sure that you could add to these, that help me think about the ocean. So when I think, what does the ocean look like? It's blue a lot of the time. It's diverse. Diverse means the ocean has lots of different types of animals and plants living in it. It's not just one kind of fish. It's not just one kind of plant. The ocean is diverse. There's lots and lots of different things living in the ocean. The ocean is huge. The ocean is dynamic. Dynamic means it's kind of like always moving and changing. It's not staying the same. That's a vivid word I really like for the ocean because the ocean is constantly changing. It's deep, it's sparkling, it's dark. If you go deep down in the water, it's dark. The ocean is salty, what it tastes like and smells like. It's mobile, again, it's moving all the time. It's vibrant, it's full of life. That's what I think of when I think of the word vibrant. It's freezing, it's ice cold, and most of all, it's mysterious. So these are words I just came up with on my own to help me when I'm writing. These are words I might include to help make it really interesting for my reader. If you would like to borrow some of these vivid words, go ahead and pause your video now, and you can copy down this list and maybe see if you can even come up with a couple more to add that Miss Lorendo did not think of. Okay. The next kind of word we're including in our paragraph are transition words. Transition words, we've talked a lot about this year also, are words that connect two ideas and make your paragraph flow. So instead of your paragraph being really chunky, transition words help your paragraph flow and make more sense. So some examples of transition words are first of all, one example, first. So those are all for maybe your first detail when you're first starting your paragraph. It would not make sense to put these at the end. So these are things that would go at the beginning of your paragraph. Towards the middle of your paragraph, you might include words like next, then, another, second, maybe even third, because, so, however, for example. And then once you get to the end, you could include things like finally, in conclusion, last, and as a result. All of these are words that will help your paragraph flow a little bit more. So instead of saying, one thing about the ocean is, that's a transition word. I included the word one. If I was going to make my paragraph have less transition words and make a little bit less sense and flow differently, I might just say, the ocean is salty. That is kind of more chunky. If I said, first of all, the ocean is salty. That helps my paragraph flow. That's an example of how you could use a transition word. Okay? So, we're going to look at our planning. I made a graphic organizer to help us plan, and I included some sentence starters that have some vivid words and some transition words in it already. So we're going to see if we can find some vivid words or transition words here in my plan already. And my plan isn't complete because I want you to come up with your own. If you'd like to borrow my sentence starters, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to borrow some of my vivid words and transition words, that's what these are for. So if you haven't yet made one of these planners for yourself, you can go back and look at last week's video, or you could just kind of copy what you see here, pause your video, and create a plan for your own paragraph. So the topic sentence, I said, the main idea of Save the Ocean is, okay? And then now that I'm looking back at this sentence, I'm realizing that's kind of a boring way to start my paragraph. So I might add something. I'm just going to make a note for myself. I might add something about how, like, the ocean is an amazing, mysterious, these are both vivid words, amazing, mysterious place. And then after that, I could add the main idea is, okay? And this is why we plan like this, so I can go back and I can make changes and make the best paragraph I could make. I'm going to circle right here these two vivid words I added, amazing and mysterious. Really helps you think about what the ocean is. For my first detail, I wrote the first and most interesting fact about the ocean is, and I have a couple of vivid words here as well. So see if you can, there's one vivid word and one transition word in this sentence. See if you can figure out what the vivid word and the transition word in this sentence is. The transition word I included is this one right here, the first. It helps the reader keep track of where they are in the paragraph. And most interesting is kind of a vivid way to describe the fact I'm about to give. Okay? So you can come up with what your first interesting fact about the ocean is. If you're going main idea, key details, you might think, what was one of the most important things you read while we were rereading Save the Ocean? Okay? And for explain, it says, in the text on page blank, the author says blank. Remember, this is where we have our text evidence. If you'd like to include a vivid word here as well, that's a great place to do it. If you'd like to include a transition word, you may. Remember, you need to include 4. And after that, we'll come up with our next detail. So I have another transition word here and kind of a vivid word as well. The second super fascinating detail about the ocean is, see if you can think, what is the transition word? What is the vivid word? Okay, so the transition word is second, and then the vivid word is super fascinating because it's telling me about the detail. I could just say the second detail about the ocean is, but I want to make it a little more interesting. So I said the second super fascinating detail about the ocean, and that will help your reader want to keep reading. If you say, this is super fascinating, or if you just say, here's a detail, one of those is more exciting than the other for your reader. And then the last, explain. Remember, you'll include text evidence. If you'd like to use the on-page blank, it says blank, you're more than welcome to. You can come up with your own way to share the text evidence here. And at the end, I ended with another transition word, in conclusion, and then I'll wrap my paragraph up, okay? So my plan has 1, 2, 3 transition words for you already, and 1, 2, 3, 4 vivid words. I'd like you to come up with 4 different vivid words that aren't the ones I circled here, but they could be some of the ones that we saw here. Okay? My vivid words were describing my details. I would like your vivid words to describe the ocean. So go ahead and get started on the planning. I want to make sure you're including vivid words and details in your writing. And thank you so much for following along. Thank you so much for watching, 3rd graders. I would like you to go ahead and start planning and writing your informational paragraph. If you'd like to borrow some of my sentences and some of my sentence starters, you are more than welcome to do that. If you'd like to challenge yourself and add a couple more details and explains in your paragraph, I encourage you to do that. If you want to add even more vivid words and transition words, go for it. I have lots of examples I showed you in this video. You're welcome to go back, pause the video, and kind of copy any of those words that you'd like to use in your paragraph. That's how writers start to use new words. We see someone else use them, and then we can use them and they become our own. So thank you so much for your hard work. I look forward to seeing your writing. Once you're finished, I encourage you to have a family member take a photo of it so that we can read it. And then I also encourage you to go ahead and read your paragraph to somebody in your house. So maybe big brother, big sister, little sister, maybe aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, any family member that will listen to you read your paragraph. I encourage you to share the amazing facts we learned about the ocean this week. Thank you so much for participating in your learning. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye!